Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Half-Nerdcast one shots. This is Zack again, and I'm going to talk to you real quick about the show Sliders. Now, not to be confused with White Castle's Little Burgers. Sliders was a show that came out in 1995 starring Jerry O'Connell and John Ryhs-Davies, who you may know as Gimli from Lord of the Rings, or what else did he do? Hell, I don't know. Jerry O'Connell, you might know him from Sliders, and Stand By Me, he was the little fat kid. Um, he's also been the voice of Superman in many of the DC animated films as of late. Um, Basically, Sliders was about how Quinn Mallory, played by O'Connell, discovers a dimensional gateway, a door to a parallel Earth. And he has his professor from college, Professor Arturo, and his sort of love interest, Wade Wells, played by Sabrina Lloyd, go with him, and he has to adjust the door, to compensate for them. And they actually bring along Rembrandt Brown, aka the Crying Man, played by Cleveland Derricks, or Cleveland. I don't know how to say his name properly. Sorry. And basically, they go to a parallel Earth and get back and everything. And they're like, "Oh, we gotta do this. We gotta slide to, see what's out there. We could find cures for diseases and all this stuff." And it kind of plays upon the moral implications and the fact that these characters are all good people, but they're also very human. Like, they do have their flaws and quirks about them. So it makes it really interesting that sometimes they have to do the right thing, but they don't necessarily want to do the right thing. And there's a lot of really good philosophical questions in the show, aside from the usual, like, oh, what's the world going to be this week? That's how it was. But the thing that I was going to talk about is how Fox, now known as what, 20th Century Films, no longer even has the name, which is brilliant, très magnifique. Because Fox is one of those companies that, yeah, they gave a chance to a young show called The Simpsons back in the day, but once they felt that they had, accumulated enough power, they basically did whatever the hell they wanted, and a lot of times would screw over many, many shows and films. And Sliders was one that was messed with from day one. They aired the episodes of the first season out of order. Oh, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? Firefly. So, obviously, the trend continued, sadly. But yeah, so the show was messed with from day one. By season three, they had said, "Oh, you got to put in more action, and make it sexier and all this stuff." And it started to lose some of the intellectual aspects of the show for a more action-packed adventure thing. Which there's nothing wrong with that, but when you're changing what the show is fundamentally about, that's where there's problems. And spoilers, in season four, they say that Quinn isn't even from Earth Prime, that he's from a parallel Earth. That's why he was so smart. And I'm like, that defeats the purpose also. And then you'd have to disregard a lot of the things about his doubles helping him and all this stuff, and it was dumb. And season five rolls around, and I believe it was the end of season four, going into season five. Jerry O'Connell and his brother both leave the show. So, yeah, I mean, the Slider roster changed, and sadly, their fates were pretty horrible. Professor Arturo gets shot, if indeed that was the real Arturo, because there was a little subplot where it's like maybe that wasn't him, maybe that was one of his doubles. And then Wade becomes like a breeding tool for the Cro-Mags, and then they put her out of her misery, and that's really just horrible. But her character never really fit with the rest of the characters for some reason. Like, she was always kind of the odd person out, and she was real mean at first to everybody. She acted like everyone was stupid. For people that are arguably smarter than her, she thought they were stupid. Well, actually, she would talk shit to Rembrandt a lot, which I'm like, why? Why? Because eventually they become good friends. So it's like, man, she was just shitty to him for no reason. Yeah, in season 5, so Quinn's gone, and they say, like, oh, he somehow merged into one of his doubles or something, and they could bring him back, but it would kill that guy, and they're like, oh, Quinn wouldn't want that. And I'm like, okay, and what about his brother Charlie? Oh, he got lost in the dimensional doorway. Like, he's dead, whatever, basically. And the show ends on a cliffhanger where Rembrandt supposedly slides back to Earth Prime with, like, a disease that'll wipe out the Cro-Mags and set everybody free. And it was left open ended. There's been talk of a revival with both O'Connell and John Ryhs-Davies, which is awesome. They really need to do that, and I really hope that happens. But the thing that I'm worried about is, like, well, are they going to try to preserve what it originally was? Are they going to retcon anything? Which they really, really should. This is one time that I'm like, you know what? Change some stuff. Just change some of it. Hell, say nothing. Say that season 3 happened, but it wasn't the real Arturo that got shot. And then say that none of 4 and 5 even happened. Right? So then you could get rid of some things. That'd be a good way to do it. In my opinion. I don't know. But the other thing is that I guess John Ryhs-Davies and O'Connell were interested in preserving the intellectual aspect of the show. You know, the thought-provoking things of the alternate worlds and such. So that's a good sign. But I mean, we'll have to see it happen. I know Jerry O'Connell did the what was it? The Funny or Die skit where he's trying to fund the Sliders movie and all that. So I'm like, you know, there's still something to it. It's still in our minds somewhere. So even if you've never seen the show or if you just forgot about it, it's there. It's there. Stargate came out the year before in theaters, so it's like somewhat similar, but that's like an actual device, and you know the timing of it, we don't know what was in development when. Supposedly there was a show called Gateways or something by George R.R. Martin of all people that never got picked up, and they said it could have been similar, but even he thought like, nah, it's just a weird coincidence. I mean, it's sci-fi. What do you expect? But then the show Stargate SG-1, I believe, that kind of ran with that idea of sliders, which I always think is funny. So things just, you know, things just rip off each other. It's not necessarily bad if they do it well, and if it actually, you know, tries to be its own thing, you know. So I guess the point of what I'm saying is, you know, Sliders was a good show for all the problems that it had from Fox. But there's, like, when there's a really good episode, it's a really good episode. Some of them are, you know, by today's standards might be a little boring, but it depends on how you feel about it and what worlds interest you, because I mean they go through damn near everything you can think of, and some of them are the cliches, but you got to think this was back then, you know. I mean, hell, Quantum Leap is another show that it kind of borrowed some things from, but not really. You know, so if you're into those kind of things, you know, traveling between dimensions, in some episodes, even though time doesn't change, it seems like they're back in the past or in the future. So there's a little something for everybody in that spectrum. And really the heart of the show is that all the characters were good people, and they always tried to do the right thing. And I think that was a really good lesson to have on a TV show that's so action-packed, you know, like it does have action. It's still an action-adventure show. But having those characters, you know, be a moral compass and deal with real tough decisions was interesting, especially for a younger person to watch, because you can kind of learn how life is not easy in any way, shape, or form. That's what I gotta say. That's my love letter to Sliders, of all things. So, Sliders, good on you. Good on you. I'm Zack for Half-Nerdcast.